Okay, everybody, welcome. It's Mike Watson here. We are live. Mike Watson, going to get started here briefly. Very excited to have a welcome back webinar for those of you that are getting excited about participating in real estate investing again. Grab a pen and paper. We'll be available. We'll be starting here in just one moment. We are live. We'll be just one moment. Starting in just one moment. Make sure you close all of your windows, close your other parts of your computer, shut your door, turn off your phone. Got some great information here for you. Fantastic benefit. Getting started here. Very, very close. Okay, we are very close to starting. Very excited to have you part of this great webinar we're going to be doing. Again, make sure you've got some pen and paper. Got some fantastic information for you. We'll get you set up live here in just 1 second. All right, guys, I'd like to welcome you. Very excited today to share some really cool things with you. We're going to talk today about some of the deals that we're doing and how I made $32,000 in less than 8 hours of work. And the first thing I want to start today is make an announcement. That first announcement is I am back. I am back. And this has been a long time coming. I am back, guys, and we're going to go bigger and better than ever before. Got some fantastic benefits to make this happen. I am back. Many of you guys that are on the webinar today, this is the first time I've invited former students to participate in a webinar with us. Got some great information for you moving forward. And I want to tell you about my journey because I know a lot of you are interested in that. And we're back. And I want to invite you to get involved. And I want to kind of share with you how we're going to do that. Now, before we do that, I want to talk about some housekeeping items. So you want to get out a pen and paper, take some great notes. We want to use Messenger to ask any questions. There's a little Messenger app right there on the screen. We may or may not have time at the end. More than likely, I've got a lot of ground to cover, so I may not be able to do that. Excuse me. But we want to make sure that you stay on. We've got some amazing bonuses for the end of the webinar. If you're on at the end of the webinar, we'll get those to you. And the next thing I want to tell you is, guys, get your mind right. There's a lot of things going on here that we want to make sure that you can have success with. And you have to have your mind right. You have to make that happen. You have to get straight in your head exactly what you're doing, why you're here. And I know there's some differing reasons. There's some differing reasons on why people are here. So we want to make sure that we can do that. Now, one of the things that we're going to do is talk about that is, why are you here today? That's important for you to understand. I want you to understand why I'm here today. We're going to go through those things. So the next thing we have is number 5 is I want to make sure that you're willing and ready to change. Until you change who you are, nothing around you will change. And that's the honest truth. So not the way you look at not even the way they look at real estate will change as well. So let's get that set up and let's get that going, get those things in order. Now, many of you have heard this story before, but those of you that are my new students that have, or excuse me, my former students that have joined, I want to kind of go through kind of what happened to me and what I've been through and some of the things that I've struggled with. And there's a couple of reasons why. The first reason why is this: I believe in full transparency, always have. It's served me well throughout my life. Secondly, I've had quite a story, and it's in my opinion, it's quite an inspirational story, and I want to share that with you. So real quickly, I was a licensed realtor and broker for 14 years. I did real estate investing for I've been doing it since about the end of 1993, beginning of 1994. Many of you know I've participated in well over 2,000 transactions as an investor, agent, broker, developer, builder, partner, financier, coach. and in other forms and fashions as well. I've owned up to 650 units at one time, and those 650 units at one point had a net $100,000 per month positive cash flow. I've done deals across the country in nearly a dozen states across the U.S. At one point, many years ago, my portfolio totaled over $55 million. I'm certain it'd be worth well over $100 million today in today's value, with many land developments and properties and income producing properties and all kinds of cool things. I traveled the country and lectured in front of 45,000 people. And many of you guys are on here, have heard me speak, and some of you guys have heard me speak in the 2000s, back 5 or 7, 8, 10, 12 years ago. You heard us speak and came to our events, and we had a lot of fun things. I've authored or co-authored 6 books, 2 of them which were Amazon bestsellers. Those 2 were authored with Jennifer Brannon Hawkins. And we have had some real success with that. Both of those books went to #1 on the movers and shakers list for Amazon. So fantastic books. Now, that's who I was. And there's quite a story to tell, because many of you know that things got difficult for me. And I want to hit that head on and talk about that straight up and kind of discussing this. At the end of 2007 and going into 2008, many of us know we started heading into the worldwide depression. It's the worst depression, real estate collapse of our history, of our country's history. And even worse, most would say, than the Great Depression. And so we had an enormous difficulty there. And in 2008, if many of you participated, I actually held a camp in San Diego. We had 380 attendees, and we had a class called Anywhere, Anytime. And it was my belief system at that point that we were going to have a recession, and that not only would real estate be good in a bad market, it'd be better. I've always said good markets are good, bad markets are much better. There's a lot of things that change and improve. And that was certainly my mindset. Now, nobody knew at that point, very few people knew the depth and the severity of the crash that was coming. Nobody knew that banks were going to topple, and that 100-year institutions would topple, that the stock market would crash the way it did, and that lending would shut down the way it was, and that Freddie Mac, Fannie Mac, and Fannie Mae, Freddie Mae, and those guys that were in those investing would nearly go bankrupt. And a lot of the companies that were investing in and doing mortgages would go bankrupt. And so it became very severe. Well, at the beginning of 2008 and even into 2009, I was thinking, you know what? I've got a great enough portfolio. I had a $55 million portfolio, a 48% equity position, $23 million and was my net worth. And so we had over a 50% equity position, and we had a massive equity position. We had a huge cash flow. You look there on #3, we had $100,000 net positive cash flow per month on the apartments. And the other big cash flow I had is I had $330,000 a month in tuitions. I used to travel the country, charge $2,000 for a 2-day camp. People would often sign up with a payment plan of $500 down and $500 a month for the next 3 months or whatever. And we were collecting over $300,000 a month in real estate tuitions for people that had signed up to come to our camps. Now, the interesting part about that is we had that number, $330,000 a month, and that number grew every month as I traveled the country and taught seminars. And one of the things that really surprised me in the crash of the market, and one thing that I didn't expect, there was a number of things I didn't expect, but the first one was that the $330,000 a month that I was receiving, that had grown every month for 5 years, that number changed. I thought that was a number I could base decisions off of. I ended up buying about $20 million of raw land and doing developments. We had 20 developments going, and we had quite a debt service, $100,000 a month plus on the debt service for that $20 million in raw land. And I thought, because gosh, I'm collecting $330,000 a month in income, I can take care of that $100,000 a month in payments. Unfortunately, the vast majority of my students at that time were realtors, and the realtors from 2008 to 2012, the NAR, I've heard statistics as high as the NAR, National Association of Realtors, lost up to 1 million realtors. And a lot of them were people that owed me money, unfortunately. And we started receiving handfuls and stacks and dozens of foreclosure or bankruptcies a week and a month. We'd receive stacks of massive numbers of bankruptcies that people that owed me money were filing and essentially informing me that I was going to be a part of their bankruptcy, and me and my companies weren't going to get paid. And in fact, my companies got bankrupted to the tune of over $10 million in monies owed to us. $10 million. And it's an interesting story because that money was owed to me. And I didn't go after those people. I didn't sue those people. I didn't try to garnish their wages. I didn't do anything. Those guys went through a tough time. And I knew how bad the market was when this all settled in, and we all realized how bad it was going to be. But I owned about $20 million of raw land based on the fact that I had $330,000 a month income that had no debt attached to it. Had 53 employees at the time, a dozen companies, and the market crashed. And I thought to myself, okay, we're going to start buying income producing properties. This is going to get really good. And honestly, I mean, you look at it, how many of you bought a bunch of properties in 2009 and 10? And if you bought a bunch of properties in your marketplace in 2009 and 10 and you still own them today, what would you be? Or where would you be? And a lot of you might say, I wouldn't be here, because you'd have an enormous amount of equity in what you were doing. So there was some truth to what we had planned and thought. We all understood a recession was coming. Nobody just knew the severity of it. When my $330,000 a month that I was paying for my developments on, that went from $330,000 a month to $30,000 a month in 12 months. And then 12 months after that, it went to $3,000 a month. So we went to 1% in 24 to 26 months of all these monies. And I still was owed millions upon millions of dollars that people did not pay me. Additionally, when that happened, I thought, okay, this is going to get interesting. A lot of my holdings were in California, Arizona, Nevada, and Utah, and those states were hit, especially Arizona, California, Nevada were hit severely. There were 3 of the worst 4 states, including Florida, in the huge depression there. And I thought to myself, okay, we can still make it. I've got $100,000 in land payments. I got $100,000 in net positive cash flow in the apartments. We can make it. And one of the hard things that kind of broke my back, so to speak, was we had several hundred units in Houston, Texas. Many of you might remember. And we had a hurricane down there, and a bunch of the tenants were pushed out by the hurricane, and the units became uninhabitable. And it took quite a while for the insurance agents to go down and check that. I had some problems with partners in Texas. We had some problems with money and the way the funding went and where the cash flow was going, and money wasn't coming in like it was supposed to come in. And it got really dirty. And at that point, after that hurricane, I just said to myself, okay, maybe this ship is sinking. Maybe this thing's going to go down. And I went from having more money than I know what to do with, and massive equity positions and huge cash flows, and that kind of disappeared overnight. And what happened is the amazing life ended. And here's kind of how that played out. We went through dozens of foreclosures. Guys, I had 85 plus foreclosures, had 94 legal actions. I ended up filing bankruptcy in 2012. I wasn't like the majority of America where they filed bankruptcy in 08, 09, or even the guys that had some equity positions filed bankruptcy in 012. I filed bankruptcy with one of the most reputable law firms in the Intermountain West. And my attorney said to me, he looked at my portfolio and he said, "You're unbelievable." And I said, "Why is that?" And he goes, "I haven't had a bankruptcy for a developer investor like you in 18 months. And I said, "Well, I don't understand what you're saying." And he goes, "Mike, you had a massive equity position in your properties. The fact that you're here in 2012 and you didn't file in the first 5 minutes of 2008 or 9, like 99% of everyone else, proved that you had massive equity positions and cash flows. You had money on hand. In fact, you almost made it through." So that wasn't much of a consolation, but I ended up filing bankruptcy in 2012. I went through governmental and quasi-governmental investigations. Many of you guys know I went through government investigations, 6 of them, in fact. There was the SEC, took a 2.5-year chunk of my life. The U.S. Attorney's Office, the FBI looked at me preliminarily. There were multiple divisions of securities in multiple states that looked at me. And then I ended up, after 2.5 years, the SEC did an action against me that I think should have took 6 or 8 months to do. They took 2.5 years. And at the end of that 2.5 years, it was interesting how I was about broke by the time they wound down their investigation, which meant I didn't have much money to defend myself, and they filed a civil action against me. There was never a criminal action filed, never a criminal action levied, never a criminal action charged. And in fact, with all the lawsuits, the bankruptcy, the foreclosures, the governmental actions, I never even stepped foot in a courtroom. And the reason was we did this right in the right way, in the sense that every dollar was accounted for. All the money that we had, our books were flawless. We'll talk about that here in just a second. But the SEC sued me, and I was furious. And one of the reasons was, I remember this like it was yesterday. In September of 2009, I got deposed by the SEC, and I walked in and they told me essentially, here's the 21 things we're going to find wrong with you, and you're going to jail. You're going to go to jail. And I looked at them and said, well, first of all, you're not going to find anything but clerical, organizational, or paperwork mistakes. You will not find any kind of fraud, whether willful or intentional or latent fraud. There is no fraud here. Secondly, my books are flawless. My books are perfect. And every dollar that came in that I was to be a shepherd over or to take care of went exactly where I said it went. And we took care of what we said we were going to do. And the SEC, and I said, and at the end of this, you're going to apologize to me. 2.5 years later, these guys took 2.5 years. And interestingly, I believe they were monitoring my accounts. And it was odd how when I finally about ran out of funds that they came up with a civil action against me. And this civil action basically alleged all the things that they said that I had done at the beginning of the investigation. And I was furious. And the reason I was they took 2.5 years. And I felt like, gosh, if any of those things were true, then this would have advanced far past a civil action. And it upset me very much that they took 2.5 years and basically we disproved almost everything. And they still got the chance to allege us. And I said to my attorney, how is that even possible? And she said, well, Mike, you got to disprove that in a court of law. They can say whatever they want. And I said, that's not right, though. It's not right. They had 2.5 years, and they know the vast majority of that, other than the clerical, the organizational, and a few things that we did wrong were a mistake. And if they investigated any business in America for 2.5 years, they'd find some problem somewhere. And the fact of the matter was, she said, Mike, that's not how they play. They don't play by the same rules that you think they should. And so I had a choice to make. I had to say, I'm going to fight this civil lawsuit in court, or I'm going to file a form that says, essentially, I neither admit what I've been accused of, but I don't deny it either. And I said, I'll never file that form. And my attorney said, I think you will, Mike. And I said, why is that? She goes, do you have $300,000 and 5 more years of your life? And of the 21 accusations that were made here, there's some of them that we made some mistakes on. There's some clerical mistakes. There's some paperwork mistakes. And if you're found innocent of 18 or 19 of these things, and there's 1 or 2 that they get you on based on paperwork and those types of things, are people going to believe you're innocent? Or are people going to believe the government just didn't have enough information? And then lastly, my attorney said, and why do you care, Mike? Even if you're found innocent, are people going to believe that you're innocent after all that you've been through? And I said to myself, gosh, those are all good points, and I don't have any more time. And it was about that time their number 6, my wife of 17 years, filed for divorce, and my whole life came apart. And so I signed that form thinking, I don't know how much I value being a U.S. citizen at this moment, because this country is not what you think it is when people set their minds to destroying you, even in the absence of a reason to destroy you. So I filed that we got that done on March 24th of 2011. It's been about almost coming up on 8 years, and destroyed my life. I ended up filing bankruptcy later that year. My wife again filed for divorce, and my life came apart. And the biggest loss of all that stuff that I lost, the biggest loss was my confidence. It was a belief in myself. And it was all the ingredients, the cool ingredients of the stuff that we built here. That was the ingredients of what made this little empire in the first place. I lost those things. And it was interesting because these circumstances broke me. The hardest part for this, guys, other than the divorce and the separation of my family and those types of things, the hardest part of this was that I told myself that I couldn't invest anymore, that people would believe the untruths about me, that my system didn't work, when the truth was that it was all one big learning experience to come back even stronger. And the fact of the matter is I got broken. I lost everything. I crawled in a ditch at the side of the road, and I literally was in an emotional fetal position for 2 to 3 years. There were multiple times where I was very close to taking my own life. And I still look back some of these days and look back at those days and say, man, I don't know how I made it through that. Absolutely brutal situation. So that brings us a little bit forward here. Why am I telling you all of this? The reason is life has a way of teaching us lessons, and I've learned some valuable lessons. And one of the reasons I've said, many of you guys that came to events of mine used to remember I'd stand at the front of the room and people would say, oh, I'm struggling because I'm getting divorced, or I have a criminal record, or someone sued me, or I'm filing bankruptcy, or I have bad credit, or I don't have any down payment. And I would just get after these guys and say, no, your belief system isn't big enough. And I had never experienced all those things. I had 17 years of unparalleled success, 17 straight years where I didn't lose money on one real estate deal, not one real estate deal. And the reason I share this is, first of all, to tell you I'm back. The second reason is I think it's pretty inspiring because I can now look at people and say, what's the lie that you're telling yourself? What lie have you told yourself? And the question I've asked myself, and when I was especially in that pain, I asked myself, well, which man was I? Was I the man that had the 17 years of unparalleled success and the tens of millions of dollars and the miniature version of a notoriety and a little bit of fame with within investing circles? Was I that guy? Or was I the man that man that did everything and anything that I could put my mind to and do? Or was I the broken failure that I believed myself to be in 2011 and 12? And the question becomes, exactly who are you? And what lie are you telling yourself? Because I'll tell you, whatever you believe about yourself is true. And that's kind of what I've learned in life. And I always believed that, but I never had to go through the fire like I did in this scenario. One of my favorite quotes, and this is a quote that unfortunately I've learned the hard way, is that the outer condition of a person's life will always be harmoniously related to his or her inner state. Men do not attract that which they want, but that which they are. And I used to see, and I saw this in myself, people come in and say, hey, I want to do something, and they didn't have their mind right, and they didn't have their heart set on it, and they didn't have the correct anchors and the processes in place, and they didn't truly believe that they could do it. And because of that, they didn't do it. And when we came back, I started this company with my new wife. I'm going to talk maybe a bit about her in just a minute. But we named the parent company of this company Wealth Follows Worth. And I learned that until you have inner worth, until you have an inner understanding of who you are and what you're capable of, and until you change your worth, you will not change your wealth. There will be no wealth. And until you change who you are and what you believe, what you have will not change. And nothing around you will change. But once your inner worth changes, wealth will flow to you. And that's the powerful story. And I'm the perfect example of that. Again, when I believed and I had that worth and I had an amazing system and I had 17 years of unparalleled success, 17 straight years, I believed in myself and I had worth. And then when I got broken, when I ran into an obstacle that was bigger than I could take care of and understand myself, then I lost my worth. I lost my sense of worth. I lost my belief in myself. I lost my confidence, and my wealth fled from me. And for years, I went around and tried to get things going in different fashions and forms. And I made some jobs with some good salaries and things, but nothing, not a drop in the bucket compared to what I had done before. And so you might ask yourselves, how did I make it back? Because I'll tell you, there's still people that don't want to see me back. There's still people that want to attack me and throw mud at me and stab me in the back and lie about what happened and lie about the circumstances and lie about this or that or the other. And I'm never going to be able to control that. So how did I make it back? My kids are old enough. Now there's 7 people in this picture here. When I was married for 17 years, my wife and I had 5 kids. One of those kids is not in this picture. She was absent at the time. This was at my wedding. My oldest daughter had served a mission for my church. So she was on an 18-month mission and couldn't be at this event. But my 5 kids are here. And then when I got remarried just over a year ago, my wife's 3 children were here. And so together, the 2 of us have 8 kids. I had 5 and she had 3. And for years, my kids were old enough to remember the life that we had, the travel, the seminars, the money, all of those things. And then they saw the absence of it. My kids would ask me again and again, Dad, when are you going to start your business again? Dad, when are you going to get going on this again? And I made excuse after excuse after excuse, lie after lie after lie. I'm going to get started when this happens. I'm going to get started when I get this done. And the answer was, I'm going to get started as soon. The correct answer was, I'm going to get started just as soon as I stop being a coward. As soon as I stop being a coward, then I'll stand up and start my business again. And it took so much for me. You know, I can't tell you how hard that was for me to get started again, to say, you know what? I finally had to come to the realization that I don't care anymore. And one of the reasons it was so hard is I cared so deeply about the people that got hurt. I cared so deeply that there were people that trusted in me and believed in me, and I did my very best. And the fact that I did my very best and the fact that I tried my hardest, it didn't matter. Those people got hurt. And I said I was going to do things and I didn't do them. And I wasn't put on this earth to be dishonest or to lie or to hurt people. That's not who I was. And people assume that because a lot of people that lost money were in that boat. but I knew in my heart that the truth would come out. And it did. And you know what? At the end of 2011, 2012, when all the lawsuits were gone and the government actions were over, and there was not even one single criminal charge, much less a criminal investigation, much less a criminal trial. There was not one thing. Nobody said, oh yeah, you were right, Mike. Sorry of all the horrible and horrific things we said and did to you. Sorry how we attacked you and slashed you and cut you down. Sorry about those things. We were wrong. We just jumped to some conclusions there. And nobody cared. Nobody cared. And it broke me. So I got tired of looking my kids in the eyes and lying, basically, saying, I'll get back when, and when this happens, I'll get started when this happens. And I finally just said, I'm done. I'm done caring what anyone else thinks. And it's that kind of mindset that you have to make the decision to get rolling in your own life. You know, whoever you are, whatever you've been through, or wherever you're at, there's always going to be forces pulling against you to be a success. And I overcame this. And that's one of the reasons why I felt like I had to get back. I don't care if somebody wants to call names or make threats or tell lies about me. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care what they think. I'm back and I'm going to do this. And I'd love to get you involved. Now, as I mentioned, simply didn't care what anyone thinks anymore. And that doesn't mean I don't care about people. I don't care about their feelings. I don't care about their thoughts. I do care deeply about those things. But what I'm saying here is I am basing my life moving forward on principles and decisions that I've made. And if someone wants to be a negative to that, or someone that wants to hurt me or cut me or break me down, I don't care. I don't care. I'm going to give those people their thoughts and their actions, and we're going to move forward. Now, some people have asked me, Mike, why are you back? You know, why are you coming back? There's a lot of pain waiting for you. And I'll tell you, as the last year and a half, as I've started doing deals and doing real estate investing, I got to be honest with you. If I'm being completely honest, the vast majority of students and people that I worked with were highly, highly charitable and Christian and loving and kind and supportive. And they understood, gosh, this was a worldwide crash. They understood I almost made it through. They understood that I had massive equity positions. They understood how the government investigations turned out. And they understood those things. And they believed it. And they said, hey, 2.5 years into the government microscope with 6 different entities, essentially, Mike, I believe you. But there were some vicious, cruel, savage people, dishonest, that were self-serving in their lies and their deceit, that attacked me, and it hurt. And you know what? I said, I'm going back. And I know that there might be some people waiting in the bushes, ready to tell some lies about me, and I just don't care. And I decided I'm coming back. I'm doing this again. I enjoy it too much. I know real estate differently and better than anybody I've ever personally met face to face. And I get this, and I'm going to do this on a high level. And the reason I'm here is I'm here for a small army of investors. Small army of investors that will work with me to silence the mouths of the liars, haters, doubters, losers, hackers, and cynics. And that's big. That's big to me right there. And here's the reason why. You know, many of you know that were around before. There was a couple of reasons why I used to partner with my students. And I always felt like it was a great way to find deals and do deals. And I tell you, the students we did deals with, we still have cherished relationships with. And we made massive equity positions, profits, cash flows, and we did deals all over the country. And I want to do that again. And I know that when I poke my head out there and I start advertising, that people are going to attack me. There's going to be people that attack me and come after me and say whatever it is they think they need to say. And I know that if I came back and said, hey, I'm this great investor, come listen to me, that's a tough road for me to walk. But honestly, I know my system works, and you do too. You saw it for years and years if you've been in the system for long, if you were in the system back in the day. And I know that if I can get an army of investors that I can show and work with and train and teach and coach, that we can do deals. And if my advertising in the future, as I grow my program and my company, are based on the deals that my students are doing and not myself, then it doesn't matter what anyone says. People can say whatever they want. They can say whatever they want about me, but they're not going to deny that I've got fantastic students doing massive numbers of deals. And that is the facts. And we're doing deals, and we're starting to do lots of deals. We're doing amazing amounts of deals. We got cool deals going, and this is growing and exploding right here in front of our eyes. And that's why I'm here talking to you today. So I want to look for some people that want to say, look, I understand. We went through some hard times. We went through some difficult things. And I'm ready. I'm ready in my own life to do some massively incredible things. And that's the kind of person I'm looking for. People that want to get involved and partner with me. We've got all the chips in place. And we'll talk about that here in just a minute. Now, Couple of reasons you might have been on the webinar today. Number one, I want to hear maybe a little bit of my story here. Pretty compelling for me. And I tell you, hardest thing I ever did was go through that. Second hardest thing was standing back up again and saying, I'm going to do this again. And many of you wanted to hear about some of the deals that we're doing. And some of you are certainly excited about how we made $32,000 in under 8 hours of work. We're going to talk about that because part of my goal today is to reacclimate you, or if you're a new student, because we have a mixture of both, and we get you excited and going on what we're doing. So we want to talk about that. So got some deals. Now, one of the things you're going to learn if you hang around me and we get to be better friends, that there's 5 profit points in real estate. There's 5 places of profit in real estate. And this was one of the first ones. And I'm going to talk about this deal, and we're going to talk about some other deals. But I feel compelled to tell you how things might be a little different for me, because when I talk to the old school students that were with me in the past, one of the first questions they ask is, what's different? What changed, Mike? What's different? And what are you doing differently? And you know, that answer could take 2 or 3 days. But we have set up some things that are massively awesome in place. And one of the things that former students of mine are saying, well, gosh, there must have been a flaw in the system. And sometimes I think they forget we went through the deepest and harshest recession in the history of our lifetimes, certainly. And in some cases, the history of the known financial world. That severe of a crash. And everybody got purged. Very few people made it through that. And that was a hard system and a hard lesson to get through. But there are some significant differences that we made. One of them is I have a team of attorneys around me now. I have a team of attorneys, and we are setting up the coolest real estate fund. And when you do real estate, you got to raise capital. And I have been enjoined by the SEC from raising capital incorrectly. So I have to do it correctly. And one of the things we've done is I set up a massive team of attorneys here, and I've got a great attorney leading the charge, and we're setting up what's called a Reg A+ filing. We're in the process of getting that paperwork together. Then we'll go through that. And the neat part about that is we're actually going to take those forms to the SEC. And it's quite a process, or 4 to 6 months to go back and forth with the SEC. And then they approve those paperwork. They approve the fund. They approve the paperwork. They approve the forms, the disclosures, everything that goes into that. They have the chance to do that. And I will never raise another dollar of capital to myself again. It will all go to the law firm and to the fund that we have set up. And it's going to be massively and wildly profitable. And interestingly, you would think that after what I've been through with the losses that I had and the people that lost money in my system, and to the tune of millions and millions and millions of dollars, that capital would be hard. And oddly, capital has never been hard and never will be hard if you know and understand real estate. A lot of these guys that are in these big real estate funds, they get it. They saw it happen to everybody, what we went through. Additionally, one of the biggest things real estate funds lack are great deals. And when you find somebody that can find great deals and put great deals together, you work with that person. And yeah, you put the ultimate safeguards in place, and the forms that we're setting up for the filings and the capital raising and all those things are going to make what we did in the past look like amateur hour, unfortunately. Even though we did some great things, this is many, many levels above that. And so those will be scrutinized, will be prepared, and they'll be stamped and approved. And that's where we're headed. And at that point, all of the fundraising will go through the law firm and the fund, and it'll be a fantastic way to do things. Let's get to this deal right here, because we want to talk about that. How did I make $32,000 in 8 hours? And this is not a simple answer. I like to ask, are you prepared to learn? Are you prepared to change? And if some of you guys are on here from former students, are you prepared to do things differently? Now, the reason that you can make $32,000 in less than 8 hours of cumulative work is you know how to create value. We know how to create value. And the reason you don't or can or aren't is because you don't know what you don't know. And there's some things that you either don't know, or if you're a former student, you might have forgotten. You need to be reminded of. Most real estate investors have the wrong strategy here in mind. They don't understand how to find or create value. In our system, we call that creating and enhancing equity. Traditional investors, their ideas are limited to the buying low, selling high, buying distressed and fixing up, or to lowball people and beat them down. And then you simply put carpet and paint in and pray it will sell. And that's unfortunately what a lot of people do. Now, some people do the buy and hold too, but that doesn't get you immediate value. And these are hard things to reproduce over and over again, what you see on the screen here. Now, so you might ask, well, how do we create value? How do we create value where other people didn't see that it existed before? And the answer is highest and best use, highest and best use. We teach you how to create and enhance equity. Now, one thing that's always been true in real estate is that when we change the use, we change the value. Change the use, change the value, change the use, change the value. You must dedicate yourself. If you want to be an expert at this, you want to make some great money in real estate investing, you must dedicate yourself to the study and the mastery of use changes. And then it's all simple systems. So you want to dedicate yourself to the study and mastery of use changes. What's a use change? And then it's all simple systems after that to put this in place to profit on a high level and have high success. So what is a use change? Now, a use change, again, is when we take a piece of real estate and change it from what it is to what it can be. So what a lot of people don't realize is that there's an enormous amount of uses in each city. Every city I've ever been to, except for one, has zoning all across the city. And the zoning is divided into areas and maps. And the maps have zoning intensities and they have, intents. The city divides those zones up based on what they want to see in those areas. And then they have a list of accepted and conditional uses for each zone. So what we're basically saying is if you can go into any city in America and find, except for Houston, Texas, which doesn't have traditional zoning, you can go in and find these areas where they have opportunities for use change. If you can find these uses, a lot of zones out there have 4 and 5 and 6 and 8 and 10 uses for one zone. And you can literally go through that zone and ask yourself, gosh, if I have a higher and better use, can I simply buy the properties that aren't using that use and convert the property from what it was to what it is? And the answer is yes, absolutely. That's highest and best use at its best. I'm going to show you some examples here in just a second on how that works. So the first thing we want to do is start seeing real estate differently. You can't look at it for what it is. You got to try to start seeing it for what it can be. Now, the biggest thing we're looking for here is the word density. Density. We need to make properties more dense. We want those properties to be more dense. And if they're going to be more dense, then they'll be more profitable. And there's some kinds of density here that we'll teach you and we'll show you and we'll train you how to see, because density equals dollars. Density equals dollars. Change the use, change the value. We change the use typically through changing the density. So the first way we do that is we add a lot more lots. You think of an old house on a big lot, you tear that old house out and put in 10 lots. That's more lots. You see add more units. You see a house on a big lot and you build a fourplex behind it. That went from 1 unit, which is 1 house, to 5, which is a house plus a fourplex. You add more income. If you can take a property and add more income or subtract expenses, then you can significantly alter the value of that property. Number 5 is to add more square footage to the property. And if you're renting commercial, retail, industrial, all of that stuff rents by the space. Residential typically sells. There's an appraised value per square foot. Hey, this neighborhood sells at $350 a square foot. This neighborhood sells at $200 a square foot. If you can put additional square footage in for less money than that, then you're going to create and enhance an equity position. The last one is we can create better financing. It's a great way to create better financing, and we can show you. Those are examples of density of how we make money on deals. So I want to give you an example. Here's an example of the one that we just did. This is $32,000 in less than 8 hours of work. Here's an example. So if you take a look at that property there, you'll see a property. You kind of see that racetrack right there in the middle. And on that area there, you can see a tree line going right up the side. And then there's a little house down at the bottom in the middle with a little orange garage next to it. That's one property. It's 1.08 acres. So that's an example of a piece of property here that we found. Now, this piece of property was listed for $280,000. It was listed as a single family house. And it was listed, the house had some work that needed to be done. Now, oddly enough, if someone had purchased that house for $280,000 and put $10,000 or $15,000, $20,000 in carpet and paint in the house, they probably couldn't have gotten that house sold for anything more than about $305,000, $310,000, or maybe even $299,000. So they would have lost $5,000 or $10,000 looking at real estate in a traditional fashion. Now, they could have gone in and tried to beat the seller down. But instead of doing that, we're just going to do things in a different way. We're going to look at things differently. So we made $32,000 in less than 8 hours of our time, and here's an example on that. Now, as I mentioned to you, this deal doesn't work for traditional investors, and it doesn't because this is a use change deal. This isn't a carpet and paint. This is a use change. Now, I want to ask you, can you see this here? One of the reasons this was so successful is we simply put this property under contract. We got an assignment clause in the contract like we do on every single deal. I know how to get assignment clauses and offers to banks, to cities, to professional investors, to brokers, to everybody. We get an assignment clause in every single contract. And if you don't know how to do that, gosh, that's worth some training alone from me. So we put this property under contract with an assigns clause, and we simply drew on there. This was an area that allowed for duplex lots for 6,500 square feet. This was 1.08 acres. And what you see here on the plat is there's a little plot down here where the house was. This is existing house. If you look at the site plan on the left, and then we had 5 duplex lots. And if you see that, if you look at that site plan and then look at the property side by side, gosh, you can start to see that. And there's whole zones of areas zoned like that. And every city has zones where there's opportunities like this. And so what you need to do is identify what those use changes can be and what they are. So we simply put this under contract. We took a smaller house on a larger lot and turned it into something entirely different. It was a higher and better use. And again, do you understand that when you change the use, you change the value? Amazing stuff there. Now, I want to ask you real quickly, which one's worth more? A little house on a large lot or a house with 5 duplex lots? And obviously, the house with 5 duplex lots is worth much, much more. Much, much more. Now, tell me about those 8 hours. I want to hear how I did that in 8 hours. So here's what we did. We found this property through some of the simple property finding techniques that we use. We have competing and non-competing methods. This was actually a non-competing method. We found this property. I wrote an offer on it, number 2, with a very different and unique assignment clause, as we said. Had an engineer draw a site plan of how the use change would be best served. We worked with the county in this case to get it submitted. And then we emailed this to our secret list of buyers asking for a $30,000 plus assignment fee to take the property over. Now, we were perfectly happy if that didn't sell or didn't get assigned, because we actually would have made more money had we taken this through the county and got it platted, or how we did build the duplexes. We would have made a lot more than $32,000. But in this case, gosh, $32,000 was there. A builder came along, wrote us that check. We took the fee and walked away. $32,000 will make you holler. And total time invested in that deal, we spent under 8-9 hours of time. When you look at the cumulative time that we spent working on that deal, and that was a nice check. Now, had I kept that property, we would have made a lot more money platting it and taking it through the city, or getting it recorded, or getting it built. Duplex lots in a lot of parts of the country are very difficult to come by. If you're in an area where they exist and they're zoning for them, then you can make some money, just like we did right here. Now, is it really that easy? And the answer is absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. And the other answer is no. And here's why. It's easy because I can teach you a repeatable system that you can do this on again and again and again. The answer that this is no. It's hard. See, when you got to change. You can't keep being who you are and doing things the way you're doing and expect some kind of a different result. We have to change who you are. Now, if you're a savvy investor, what would you invest or pay to get a $32,000 return like that? And what if that investment could yield you many $32,000 checks? What would you invest then? And I can show you guys a repeatable system that can produce much more than $32,000 checks, much, much more than that. And we want to show you that. And what I like to say about this is what I teach and what I do is not hard. It's just different. It's different than the way most of you are thinking about real estate. Now, are there some other deals? And I told you I'd tell you about some other deals. We've got a number of those that I want to run through fairly quickly. The first one is this deal right here. This is one parcel. This is one that my student found. The student that found this is currently, he owns his own plumbing business. And so I don't know that we'd all say, hey, that's a world-class real estate investor. And the fact is, anyone from any walk of life can do plumbing, can do real estate investing, especially a plumber. One of the reasons we were attached and interested in working with him is he travels all over the city doing plumbing repairs and plumbing work, and he does an expert job. He's a high-level plumber, got a great business going, but he said, gosh, I'm in and around deals like this all the time, and I want to get my hands on it. So he and his son, he's got a son that's like 11, 12 years old, found this property. It's 1.43 acres. It was in a great city. It was already zoned for duplexes. And that's the kicker. We don't have to go in and get duplexes. Now, it was a kind of a deep lot, so we had some extra land at the back. So we took one piece of land, and we're buying this for $95,000. We're going to have several $1,000s in engineering. We'll probably have 11, 12, 13,000 or more in 11,000 a piece in water shares. Will be maybe $20,000, $22,000 in water shares plus the engineering and city fees. All told, we'll be into this property $120,000, $125,000 total. And the property already has curb gutter sidewalk across the front there on the right-hand side of the lot. So we'll have 3 fully improved duplex lots under $40,000, $45,000, $50,000 a piece. And in most areas of the state, these lots, if you can even find one, are worth 100 to 170,000 a piece. So on the low end, if we get 80,000 a piece out of this, we're looking at a 6-figure profit. Plus, if we get 90,000, 100,000, 110,000, we're looking at a huge profit, doubling, tripling our money. And these are deals that are just sitting out there. This had a for sale by owner sign on it, and it was just for sale out in the marketplace. It hadn't been listed by a realtor, and we went in and snatched it up. We go to this planning commission for the city on, I think it's the 10th of January. This will go before the city. Very simple deal where the plat here that we've drawn hits all the requirements that they have. It's in the zone that they have. It's already passed the staff review. We've got the development review feedback from the development review committee. Home run deal. And I'll tell you, we'll probably end up building a couple of those, 3 duplexes there, dirt next to nothing, massive equity positions day one, and this kind of stuff's everywhere. What other deals are there? We had another student that found an amazing deal. This is actually 2 properties that you're looking at. You'll see this here in a second. This was a duplex with a little cottage in the back here. So this is a duplex. If you look on the bottom end of your screen, the lower end, and then at the top, there's a little cottage. It's kind of being lived in and operated as kind of a triplex. 2 other little outbuildings there. But this is in a city where it's zoned R3 that allows for 16 units to the acre. We took this piece of property right here. If you get this mental image here, and we currently have a site plan in the city right now where we've got an apartment building. If you look on the bottom end of this, a large apartment building, we'll get 11 to 12 units there. Our parking lot, detention area, little playground, going to be a fantastic. Again, this one is already zoned for what we're doing. We actually have some changes that we're doing, and then we'll get a full submittal into the city. And this will double or triple the value of the property here. We're in this property about 245, 250,000. With the acquisition costs, closing costs will be 5 to 10,000 in engineering and city fees. We'll be in at 260. And once this plat gets recorded, it'll be worth almost twice that. We'll almost double our value of the property for getting the site plan approved. And the kicker on this is that zoning's already there. It's already there. We don't have to even ask for a zone change. Next one, we've got a great piece of property. You look down here, if you can see on your screen there where it says the 21-35, there's a house there on that lot. It's a larger lot on a corner. This is a simple one. Again, already zoned. This is in a zone RM25, allows 25 units to the acre. We're turning that into these 2 lots right here. So this house in the deeper lot right here are going to turn into a house and a lot in the back. And again, this is zoned for duplexes and multifamily. The lot we have in the back of this house is not big enough for a big project, but it is big enough for a duplex. We're buying this property. We're paying for it. We're improving it. And we'll be in this $75,000, $80,000. And a duplex lot in this area is worth $150 to $170 easily. And that's if we choose to sell it and don't build a duplex lot there. So fantastic profit position there. Again, higher and better use. We can show you how to find these zones. We can show you how to find these properties. We'll partner with you on them. One of the things that I love to do is I love to partner with my students. We have massive funding available to us. We've got all the money in place that we need, and we can do deals. Here's another deal that we're doing closely. This is actually a 21-plex, believe it or not. But if you look at the red numbers that I've written on there, it's actually 4 buildings. And the unique thing is this is 3 tax parcels. So you look on the one building on the left there, that's a 12-plex. There's 12 units there. And yes, that's solar system on the roof there. Brand new roof, state-of-the-art solar system, all paid for. So all the electricity for these buildings is provided by the solar systems on the roof. We've got a 12-plex, and then you look just to the right of that, there's a duplex and a triplex, and it's a 5-plex because it's on the same tax parcel. And then at the top, there's a 4-plex. So that totals 21 units. The owner operates and treats it and acts like it is a 21-plex. And these literally, we could buy them and break them up and sell them. A couple of the options are, gosh, we could sell the 12-plex and the 5-plex and probably own the 4-plex free and clear and have a 6-figure cash on hand as well. One of the other plays on this property here is there is some light remodeling that needs to be done, but the rents are $100 to $200 a month low for each of the units. So we could raise the rent significantly and be able to massively change the value of the property based on the capitalization rate. So we'll get in there, we'll raise the rents, and we'll either have the option of selling the properties individually, selling them as a whole. A couple of options are we could sell the 4 and 5-plex and probably have close to a 50% equity position in the 12-plex. We could sell the 12-plex and the 5-plex, own the 4-plex free and clear, and have 6 figures cash on hand afterwards. The other option is we're putting a $400,000 down on this with about a $1.6 million seller finance loan. We got a 30-year loan, amortized over 30 years with a 5-year balloon at 4.5%. And we could simply close on this, put this up for sale, identically how it is, ask for a 6-figure profit, and then change the rate from 4.5 to 6. And we'd get a 6-figure profit, and we'd get 1.5 points interest for the 5 years each year. That's mailbox money. So awesome. That'd be over $10,000 a month. I mean, awesome benefit there for the profit that we'd make on that. And that's without even physically touching the building. So lots and lots of benefits here. How do you find these deals? What's the benefit here? So the benefit here, and the higher and better use here, instead of treating this like a 21-plex, we could sell it as 3 different parcels. It's also the potential of a condo conversion. We've kind of decided against that based on the way the units are configured and a few other things. Additionally, there is the play here with seller financing. We could do an interest rate fixer-upper. We could do a rent or an income fixer-upper. We could do a cap rate fixer-upper. And there is lots and lots of ways to do this. And one of my students found this, and home run deal. Quick note, very exciting story. The student that found this deal also is currently getting under contract. I got a call. One of the reasons I was a few minutes late to starting our webinar today, I apologize, is I got a call from this agent who told me that we have another parcel that looks like it's finally going under contract. We've been negotiating on this for 7 days or so in another city. It's an acre and it's zoned for up to 24 units to the acre. And the city is dying for apartments, and they're dying for condos. And we will already have the zoning in place. We'll just have to negotiate a site plan that works. And we should have that under contract. There'll be a real estate purchase contract ready for me to sign at the end of this webinar. I'm kind of excited about that. And that parcel, we're getting a parcel that allows for 28 units for under $300,000, which in any city in America is a phenomenal deal. It's less than $10,000 a door for the number of units that we can get. So these deals are out there, and you just got to want to look for them. You got to want to find them. You got to believe that you can do it. And then you got to have somebody like me who'll come along and help you partner it, and help you fund it, and help you do all of those things. Now, come back. Those of you guys that were in the program before, I'm yelling at the top of my lungs here, come back. And here's one of the reasons why. One of the students you all know, I'm going to announce later at another event, decided to come back and reached out to me and said, Mike, I want to do this. I want to do this on a high level. I'm all the way in. And this student's actually in California. So if you look at these numbers right here, it's actually staggering what's available out there across the country if you know what you're looking for. And this is Southern California. This is not some rural place out in the middle of nowhere. This is rural, heavily populated Southern California. And this is just part of the list that I got. This is not the whole list that was sent to me. Look at these deals right here. These are available. Number one, 0.7493 acres for 149. Zoning allows for up to 6 units. It'd be $24,000 a door, or 13 senior units. The density is double for seniors at $11,000 a door. Unbelievable. Number two, 1.32 acres for 99,000. Zoning allows up to 5 lots. Be less than $20,000 a lot in Southern California. There'd be some improvement and some things that have to go in there, but my goodness, could you sell a $30,000, $40,000 lot in Southern California for someone to build a house in a very populated area? Unbelievable. So lots of benefits here, guys. If you look at this list here, this is the kind of stuff that we're finding. This is the kind of stuff that we're turning out. This is the kind of stuff that we want to do with you and teach you how to do and get you back doing, acclimated in. And all of you guys are from cities where I did a lot of business, did a lot of deals, and understand your marketplace. We want to make sure that happens on a high level. So come back. This is a neat process, and we want to get you going in it. Now, here's the challenge. You know, you got to take some simple steps. You got to reach out of your comfort zone. And once you decide to change, once you decide to look at things differently, once you decide to be different, everything will change. Everything will change that minute. It doesn't change in 6 months. It doesn't change in 2 years. It changes that minute. And I'm obviously on here too, because we've got an announcement to make on some things that we have that are upcoming that are going to be absolutely fantastic. And I want to tell you about those. So the first thing I want to do, though, before we get to that, is I want to tell you why I teach real estate. Because many people have asked me over the years, Mike, if this system works so great, why aren't you just doing it yourself? Mike, and even in my comeback here, Mike, if this works so great and you're so worried about what people think, why don't you just do deals? And and not worry about it. And the reason is for a couple of reasons. Number one, nobody taught me how to do real estate investing. Nobody taught me this system. And you can't learn these anywhere but here. You know, the guys that know how to do this are doing strip malls and shopping centers and mixed use projects and massive PUDs. These guys don't teach how to do this. They don't want more competition. The other reason I teach is I've had massive years of success and much loss. And that loss has taught me that, man, you can't give up. You can't ever give up. One of my dear friends, many of you know Richard Whitmore, one of my dear friends who was very popular and very known among all of my former students, said to me in the ugliest and the darkest of times, he said to me, Mike, I trust you implicitly. I trust what you said was true. And I trust that what you've done, you did what you said you did, and you didn't do what you said you didn't do. He goes, but I want you to know something. Even if everything that was said about you was true, I wouldn't think any less of you or any differently of you. And he was that good of a man. He was that neat of a man to where I thought to myself, you know what? The only thing that matters here is what I think, is what I believe. Nothing else matters. And because I've had those years of success and the years of loss, and I've participated in some form or fashion of over 2,000 real estate deals in 11 or 12 states, I have to share this. I have to teach this. And it's not just because I want to share and help people build a life, because many of the people that I run into that are in their real estate communities are still reeling in some form or fashion from the losses they had in 8, 9, 10, and 11, and 12. They're still feeling some of those things. And I've learned over the years that students that come learn from me can immediately find properties. It's not hard. What we do isn't hard. It's just different. And there's different things they lack. And they might lack capital. They might lack belief system. They might lack understanding, might lack the inability to work with cities or whatever it is. And I teach my students because they can find these amazing deals. And my business plan has always been, you find the deals and we'll put them together and split the profits. And we'll do that. Fantastic opportunity there. You find the deals and then we'll split the profits and we'll do some great deals together. And the fact of the matter is, every one of those deals that I just showed you that we're working on are deals that have been submitted by my students. Those are deals that we're doing with students. And those are fantastic deals. And that's what I want to do, is teach you how to do that. And so I've got an exciting announcement to make. We're going to have an MWI, Mike Watson Investing reunion. And we're going to get you guys kicked off. Those of you guys that want to come back and learn about this, we're going to get it going. We're going to get it going right now. We're going to get going to introduce you to your new life on February 8th, 9th, and 10th in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're going to do an amazing real estate camp. We're going to do it's Retire in 5 years. You know, this is a camp that I taught one other time. We've updated it, seriously updated it. We've changed some of the curriculum. We've got some things added in that I've changed in my personal career and my personal investing. But we're going to do the Retire in 5 years camp. And here's why. I want to retire in 5 years. You know, back when I taught this camp last time, I had massive money and massive income and massive net worth. And I could have retired at that point. And I was teaching others how to, well, guess what? I want to retire in 5 years. And literally, I want to be done. I'm still in my 40s, but I still want to retire in 5 years. I want to be done with this. There's a lot of things I want to do in this life that don't involve making money. And believe it or not, I want to get this done. I want to teach people how to do this. And we're going to get in, do fantastic things over the next half decade, and then we're going to get out. And I'd like you to learn how to do that, because this is something you could do over a lifetime. Now, the event will be held at the Tuscany Suites and Casinos, and I want to get you enrolled in that. And here's the thing. At this camp, here's some of the things we're going to cover. I'm going to give you a written, distinct plan how to retire in 5 years. You'll learn how to set up this system in its entirety. You'll qualify yourself to start the partnership path with our company, wherever you are, whatever part of the country you're in. You'll learn to look at yourself in real estate differently than you ever have before. You'll learn the repeatable system that allows us to do these deals again and again. This process to find properties is called the highest and best use, and will help you find higher and better uses. We're also going to teach you how to find an amazing support staff around you, a team that will get you through all of this. And then we're going to also give you access to a database of end users and learn how to create your own. So you'll have full empowerment on the databases that you'll have and the stuff that you'll be doing and putting together. The other thing you're going to learn at this camp, I get asked everywhere I go, and I didn't mention this, but I want you to write this down. I'm going to share with you all the things that I would have done differently. What would I have done differently? What am I doing differently? One of them is the capital element of this is going to be very different. We've got a team of attorneys that are putting this together, and they're going to manage and maintain and run this fund. They're going to handle the capital raising, and I'll be a part of that as far as the sharing that fund opportunity with people and finding the real estate deals. But the legal team is going to handle the whole fund. They're going to do all of it, and it'll be promulgated and approved through negotiations with the SEC and other things we've got going there. So it'll be an absolutely fantastic option. The way we're going to structure our deals, I always thought back in the day that the way I was doing my deals and the legal structure, the entity structure that we had and the tax structure that we had was the best in the world. And unfortunately, when I got my business torn apart for years by the government, I learned so much more. And I learned that what I thought I knew was different than what I should have known. And so we're going to share those things with you. I'm going to teach you the different things I'm doing in funding. I'm going to show you the different things I'm doing in mortgages. I'm going to show you how we're building our portfolio differently this time. We're going to show you the entity structure that works the best for this type of scenario. And there might even be some time for some tax benefits as well. So you'll want to get there and you want to get excited and going, because you guys know I love to partner, and we're ready and able and willing and doing partnerships. Now, there's going to be some extra bonuses for your enrollment today. I want to get you a ticket to come to Las Vegas. I'm not just going to give you a ticket. Today I'm going to give you 5 tickets. You guys know and understand that this is not a journey that you should take alone. If you're going to do this and you're going to have success and create opportunity and benefit, this is not something that you should do alone. This isn't a journey anyone should take alone. So you'll get your ticket plus 4 extra tickets that will only require a small registration fee. And we'll talk about that more here in just a second. Now, what would you pay for something like that? And really, that isn't about what you're paying to me. It's about having you in there. One of the things I say to my students, one of my common themes is, I don't want your money, I want you. And unfortunately, we have to make financial investment to be serious about what it is we're doing. And then also, unfortunately, the Tuscany Casino and Suites isn't free. I called them, they said, hey, Mike, we like what you're doing, so go ahead and have our room. And unfortunately, these things cost money. So there is some financial side involved. The big profits here are always the deals that we do and the profits that we split. So, but the question I'm going to ask is, what are you worth? And what would you pay to make checks like this and much, much bigger ones? And what would you pay to partner with me? And all the things that I've been through and all the things that I know, there's some high value there. Now, we've got some Act Now bonuses. I love people that act now, and I'm looking for people that are going to do that, because I'm going to invest myself and my time into the people that are investing in me and my system. And we're going to create some win-win symbiotic relationships here. So you're going to get 5 tickets instead of 1. You're going to get a copy of the Highest and Best Use Real Estate Investment book. You're also going to get a free membership into our private Facebook group. If you guys aren't on that, it's phenomenal, all the cool stuff we're doing. You're going to get access to our 1 year to our 10-episode webinar series. You'll also get a bonus Get Prepared webinar before Vegas. So we're going to do some things a couple of weeks out from Vegas. We'll do a webinar that will show you all the things that you need to do to get prepared to be there in Las Vegas and have the best experience with that. And I'm also going to give you a day 1 life change guarantee, which means if you come to Las Vegas, I will look you in the eye and tell you, if you come and you don't believe your life has changed, I'm not going to say, hey, if you like the material, if you think it's interesting, if it's passionate, it's exciting, and you think you can find some deals. I'm going to say, if you guys come to the first day and you don't feel like your life's been changed and that you can't see a different life for yourself after that first day, I'll give you your money back and you can leave. No questions asked. Again, guys, I don't want your money. I want you. So we are willing to let you do that. Come to a full day and see that, because I know once you get in the environment, you see the amazing people, you see the deals that we're doing, it's going to be absolutely unbelievable. So day 1 life change guarantee. Now, what's the value of this? I guess the value of this to me is in the millions, but 5 tickets instead of 1. If you were to pay $2,000 a ticket for a 3-day event, which many people on this webinar have paid before, you'd pay $10,000 for the 5 tickets. You got $40 for the copy of the book. You've got the free membership in the Facebook group for a year. You've got access to the 10 webinar series, the bonus Get Prepared webinar. You're looking at $10,000, $11,000, $12,000 in value there easily in value. And if you knew that you could do a check one time that would make $32,000, you'd pay a lot more than $11,000 for that. I think most savvy investors, if they knew they could do an investment that would make a $32,000 return, would pay up to $32,000. Now, some of you might say, well, why would you want to break even? And the answer is because once you did it, you'd know how to do it again and again and again. You could do it as many times as you wanted. So that's a high value here. And we want to talk to you about what it takes to get involved and to get started on that. Now, I've got 4 last bonuses we're going to throw in that are absolutely fantastic benefits. If you get signed up today, we're going to throw in all these bonuses. By the way, if you sign up some other day, you don't get any of the bonuses. You get the 5 tickets, and that's what you're going to get. If you get signed up today, you're going to get all of these bonuses right here. So you'll get all of those bonuses, and you're going to get these bonuses right here. So you've got to sign up today to get that. This is a date that we know. We've got it set up here. We're ready to go. We're going to send all these things out to you. But the reality here is we're going to get you the write-up we have on the laws of mimicry and how that impacts you finding target-rich environments. I will show you how to find the most amazing target-rich environments. Number 2, 16 things you should be doing at the city. A list of those and campaigns to do and things to get in place so that you can be successful. Number 3, we're going to talk about 20 negotiable terms other than price. So how to negotiate deals. 70% of the deals that I do have 50% or more seller financing. And that's a fact. And we want to make sure that you understand how to do that, because those are some great benefits. And we've got seller financing on almost all the deals we're doing right now. Some of those are in the form of extended closings, where we get an extended closing. Some of those are in the form of actual seller financing. Some of those are in the form of assignment clauses that allow us to create seller finance options. Some of those seller finance deals are in the form of taking ownership in a property in an LLC or some other format and being able to sell that LLC so that there's inherent financing on the offering of our property. So someone that's buying it can have it down and not be required to get their own financing. Very important stuff, how to negotiate terms other than the price. Next one we want to include is 7 essential deal evaluation components. These are all combined to be at least a $500 bonus. So we're going to load you up, and the camp itself is going to be phenomenal. So what we're going to do today only is we want to get you enrolled in this program, and it's a lousy $299. $299. And the way to get enrolled, you're going to want to do this because we're going to change the enrollment here shortly for those, so we know who is the Act Now people, who gets the Act Now bonuses. And I also want to know that for myself. You know, if you look at it from a position for me, at that link at the bottom that you can load into your page, if you look at it from me, from my perspective, I'm going to have a choice to work with lots and lots and lots of different students. And I'm going to pick the ones that I want to work with. And the people I want to work with, the most important characteristic is somebody that I want to work with is someone that makes decisions and acts decisively. And if you are invested in me, even though this is only $299, I'll invest myself in you, and we'll make this work. We'll do whatever we need to do. And jokingly, I'm going to tell you, if you don't feel like you can make a serious enough commitment for $299, you can call my office and we can charge you more if you need us to. But the reality is I want to give you all those things. Put the link in the bottom there, MikeWatsonInvesting.com/RI5. MikeWatsonInvesting.com/RI5. Put that in. $299 gets you 5 tickets, gets you all those bonuses. And I'll make you this promise too, that if you get this today and you get more than 5 people to come with you, I'll give you additional tickets for free. Now, there is a catch to those extra tickets. Each one of those tickets, we have an enrollment fee of $30. So if you bring a group of people with you, they don't have to pay the $299. They would pay the $30 each for enrollment. Now, I do have some savvy students who are getting tickets, and they're selling those tickets. They're selling them for $100, $200, $300, $500, and they're keeping the money for themselves and then just paying the $30 enrollment fee. $30 enrollment fee is to cover our room and to help us cover the materials that we'll produce. So we're going to do that, and I'll give you as many tickets as you want. And the more people that you get there, the closer you'll be to success in building teams and doing some great things that way. So that's the offer today. Again, all of those things that we talked about, $299. You're going to put this link in your browser, MikeWatsonInvesting.com/RI5. MikeWatsonInvesting.com/RI5. And that's going to give you an opportunity to come to Retire in 5, the 3-day program, all the benefits. And those of you guys that were in the system before, we're going to get you lit up like you've never been lit up before. We're going to show you all the cool things we're doing differently. We're going to show you the properties, and we're going to get you on a path to partnering. Many of you I know, and I've talked to many of my former students, they drive around looking at properties differently, and some of them stopped acting on that. Some of them stopped believing. Some of them don't have access to capital. A lot of them got hurt the way I got hurt in 2007, 8, 9, and 10, and maybe not to the severity, but they got hurt with the crash in the real estate market. And now is the time for redemption. Now is the time to get involved and to get this going on a high level. Enter into your browser, MikeWatsonInvesting.com/RI5, and that'll be your chance to get involved. Together in Vegas, we're going to have a reunion, MWI reunion. We're going to have fun. We're going to play, but we're going to do real estate hard. Now, on the timing of the event, we're going to go Thursday. This is a Thursday, Friday, half day Saturday. Again, that's February 8th, 9th, and 10th. February 8th, 9th, and 10th at the Tuscany Suites and Casino. And that is going to be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. On Thursday, we'll probably go from 9 in the morning till at least 7 o'clock, whenever I'm done. Friday night, we'll go from 9 in the morning till probably 7 or later. And then Saturday, we'll go from 9 to 2. So those of you that want to can travel home. Or if you want to make a little vacation, stay out of it, you'll have the rest of Saturday to yourself and the rest of the weekend there. So 8th, 9th, and 10th, going to love to do that. We'll plan on getting a hold of you to get the preview webinar set up. We're going to do a webinar a couple weeks before we go, and it will get you prepared for all the things that you need to do and bring to Vegas. And we want you to get as many people as you can. So again, MikeWatsonInvesting.com/RI5, MikeWatsonInvesting.com/RI5. Again, would love to have you, love to get you involved. And again, we get the Act Now bonuses. You get these items right here, these 4 things, plus for $299, you're going to get all of these things right here. 5 tickets instead of 1, copy of Jennifer and I's book, Highest and Best Use, free membership in our private Facebook group, access to 1 year to our webinar series, a bonus Get Prepared webinar before Vegas, and this will start you on the path to partnership. We want to get you qualified and set up. We want to do deals with you. And I want to do deals with people who are committed, who are trained, and who are working with us and doing things the way we do them. And we're going to do some deals. We're going to make some money together. So again, life change guarantee on that first day. We're going to teach you some different entity structuring. We're going to teach you some tax benefits, some things we're going to do that way. But Retire in 5 plan, specific plan, how to do that. We're going to talk about the coolest things that are happening in the market right now. Conversions, subdivisions, condo conversions, lot line splits, flag lots, all kinds of cool stuff. The city processes, developments, HOAs, PUDs, all kinds of stuff, all the good stuff we're doing. We're going to share that with you, and we'll get you set up. So again, go to MikeWatsonInvesting.com/RI5, MikeWatsonInvesting.com/RI5. And we are going to do a replay of this webinar. So if you've got some people that you want to get involved and if you want to get them set up. Now, if you do have somebody come on the replay of this webinar and you want to, and you've invited them and you'd like to use the funds from their ticket, let us know who it is. And if they get enrolled, then we'll work with you on the money. We'll take out the $30. If other people you have sign up for these events, we'll take out the $30 and 3 or 4% for merchanting fees. And you can have the rest of the money. You'll get the rest of the funds on that, and we'll get you going and enrolled in Las Vegas. Life-changing deal, life-changing program. And I want to end with kind of where we started, guys. You can do this if you believe you can. I'm a perfect living example of that. 17 years of unparalleled success. Then I hit the bump, and I still can't believe, looking back, I still can't believe we didn't make it through that recession as bad as it was. We didn't make it. And after I got broken, I didn't believe I could do it, and I was right. That's what I believed, and I was right. So fantastic benefit that way. Whatever you believe is true. And the benefit is that once you know this, once you're empowered with this, the question becomes, why aren't you doing it? If you're not doing it, why aren't you doing it? If you are doing it, let's do it on a higher level. If you are doing it, let's do it bigger, more deals, more often, larger quantity, all of those things. So then I finally decided in my life, hey, let's stand up, let's get started again. And we did. And we did that. And I asked you some hard questions earlier. What is your excuse? Why aren't you doing this? And why don't you want to get involved on a high level? I've made this very affordable for you guys to do this. I understand you'll have to travel to Vegas and there'll be a hotel room there. By the way, we have a great discount rate at the hotel for sleeping rooms. If you get involved, There's only a few rooms left for that, unfortunately, before they go back to normal pricing for the rooms. So we want to make sure that you cover that and you get involved and get those room discounts. But guys, you can do this. I know you can do this. I'm proof that you can do this. I'm proof that you can go through almost anything that life throws at you and you can stand up and make this happen. Guys, I'd love to join you in Vegas. Again, it's MikeWatsonInvesting.com/RI5. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today. I can't wait to hear from you guys. I've talked to or chatted with or Facebooked many of you guys leading up to this, and I can't wait to see you in Vegas. We're going to have a party, and more importantly, we're going to do some great deals and make some money. So get involved. We're going to only have a short time here where you can get all of those extra bonuses if you get involved. If you don't, you want to get involved later, that's fine. It'll still be $299, but you will not get all of the extra bonuses. So last chance, MikeWatsonInvesting.com/RI5. It's been wonderful talking today, guys. Happy investing and have a great day.